McLaren's uprise in the past couple of months didn't come without its own downsides, and one of them is the prioritization of drivers. Having two solid performers on both Saturday and Sunday made it quite difficult for McLaren to draw a red line and prioritize one over the other, but the team has openly admitted of having to do this in the remainder of the season if they're to fight Verstappen for the Drivers' Championship. But with just 8 races and 3 sprint events remaining, did this call come a bit too late, and will races like Hungary and Monza come back to bite them? McLaren has managed to cut down the gap to Red Bull to just 8 points in the Constructors' Championship, but the drama is bigger in the other category, where Norris is 62 points behind Verstappen. You would think that this is too much, but in the last 2 weekends, the Brit managed to cut down 16 points from Verstappen, and had it not been for the Turn 4 battle in Monza with his teammate Piastri, that lead would have likely shrunk even more. Nevertheless, Piastri has proven that he won't just stand on the side and watch Norris win the championship ahead of him, even though he is 4th in the standings and mathematically still has a chance of winning the title despite needing an extreme sequence of lucky events. Andreas Stella, the team principal of McLaren, has openly spoken about the team orders because whether we like it or not, the situation stands as it is. McLaren needs to make harsh decisions in situations that wouldn't suit Piastri one single bit. While the Aussie has proven to be a tough racer, there is room for one champion, and even though many have dubbed Norris to be one of the least deserving championship contenders in the history of the sport due to his poor lap 1 performance in 2024, he still has 1 win more than his teammate and is closer to the front than Piastri. Elaborating further on what will happen in the remainder of 2024, Stella couldn't have been clearer in regards of the team rules, as he added, "The overall concept is we are incredibly determined to win, but we want to win in the right way. We will bias our support to Lando, but we want to do it without too much compromise on our principles. Our principles are that the team interest always comes first. Sportsmanship for us is important in the overall way we go racing, and then we want to be fair to both drivers." Furthermore, Stella admitted that the situation in Monza is definitely what they don't want to see in the future, and even though the papaya rules allow both McLaren drivers to race in a fair and square manner, the fact that the overtake of Piastri almost took both of the MCL 38s out of the race speaks volumes about the adjustments that need to be made to these intra-team rules. Elaborating further, Stella said, "What we don't want to see anymore is a situation like in Monza in which we enter a chicane 1-2 and we exit 1-3, because that is a detriment to the team. The team interest comes first, and these are situations that above all we need to fix. The conversations have been very collaborative. Even when I said to Oscar, would you be able to give up a victory? He said, it's painful, but if it's the right thing to do now, I will do it." There is no doubt that tensions will continue to rise in McLaren because on many occasions Piastri has proven to be the better racer to Norris. However, in the first half of the season, the Brit managed to accumulate a lead in the first half of the season that enabled him to be the prioritised driver in the championship fight with Mercedes. Again, Piastri could have easily let Norris by in the last laps in Monza when it became evident that they were outsmarted by the strategy of Ferrari, but it seems like the pride that the Aussie needs to swallow in order to do this is a bit too big. This is to be expected considering that his manager is Mark Webber, who was the infamous teammate of Sebastian Vettel during the golden days of Red Bull from 2010 to 2013, and you would normally assume that there is something somewhere in Piastri's contract with McLaren that allows him to race Norris as the number 1 driver on the team. Norris himself didn't want the help of the team in Monza that would have granted him 3 additional points in the championship if the papaya team decided to switch positions, as he said that it would be much sweeter if it's done by pure racing on the track. When talking about this, Norris said, "Obviously I wouldn't say we are running out of time, but time is going away slowly. I still believe we can win the championship. You know, the pace is obviously great. I still believe we probably had close to, if not the best car in Monza, so it's not for me to decide, it's for the team. The best way is simply to just win the race, and I didn't do that in Monza because of some silly things. things. So yeah, this is a question for the team, not for me. What Piastri has shown with the latest antiques is that he won't be standing still when the challenge of Norris will arise ahead of him, which is why the team needs to intervene sooner rather than later. But what doesn't help here is that the official statement of Brown is that the current drivers of McLaren are reminding him a lot about the Senna-Prost era, where there weren't clear number one drivers and both of them were fighting each other fiercely to the last lap, often ending in retiring the cars due to terminal damage sustained from a crash. And on the other hand, Nico Rosberg, the man who went head-to-head with Hamilton back in 2016 and prevailed as a winner in a similar situation, believes that Piastri won't let go that easily. When talking about this rivalry that could become a serious problem, not just for the remainder of 2024, but also from 2025 onwards, when McLaren will have a clear slate to start with, Rosberg said, "It's hard though on Oscar because in his contract you will have a number one contract, yeah? It won't say in his contract that you need to help Lando, and Oscar is driving brilliantly also, so he deserves every opportunity, just from his point of view, to get race wins. Plus, let's also remember mathematically he can still be world champion, so there is that. He is not that far behind Lando, 40 points or something, so he is not that far behind either. So it's a hard ask on Oscar to start forfeiting race wins." The reality, however, is that Norris was told loud and clear in Hungary that he would need Piastri in the championship hunt, where he was forced by his team to give up on 7 valuable points. At that time, McLaren didn't really seem to understand the magnitude of the situation they found themselves in, but obviously now it's a lot more serious and there are certain sacrifices that need to be made if they want to see one of their drivers lift the trophy at the end of 2024. This is a topic that Brown has opened up about in one of the latest interviews, answering a question about the priorities of the team, to which the CEO of McLaren F1 said, "We're going to give it everything we've got. Oscar is going to do everything he can to help. You know, I'm fortunate I got 2 number one drivers. They are both awesome. But Lando is now in a position where, you know, he can mathematically see it, smell it. So we're going to work as a team to see what we can do to help Lando. We are going to do it a race at a time. You know, if 2 races we have closed the gap, we will keep working as a team. If in a couple of races Max has won and Lando got a DNF, then, you know, we will go back to letting him go. Papaya rules, it's your teammate, race him hard, race him clean, don't touch." That happened in Monza. It was an aggressive pass, so that's a conversation that we'll have. It was a bit nerve-wracking on pit wall, but it's really just respect your teammate. Be that as it may, it would be interesting to see how Piastri will react to these team orders, because there might be many situations in which he'll prove to be more competitive than Norris, but all of them could end up with him having to let his position go. Of course, the next 2 weekends are ones in which McLaren is expected to have a very dominant car, but we should never write Ferrari and Mercedes off, and this doesn't help Lando's quest of closing the gap to Verstappen even further. Whether or not Piastri would oblige by these rules or will let his feelings known on the radio, time will tell, but it's safe to assume that his manager, Mark Webber, has negotiated a dream deal for him in McLaren, where he wouldn't have to bow to anyone if he shows that he has the capacity of being a world champion. With all this in mind, what do you think about the ongoing rivalry between Piastri and Norris, and do you think that the team rules will favour the Brit just enough so he could win the championship in 2024? Let us know what you think down in the comments below, and once you've done that, have a look at the video that's appearing on your screen right now.